And spawning in the top right-hand corner of our Keone, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Club NV. It is Creator. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. And suddenly I'm concerned for both of these players. They are both some of the best that Korea has to offer. Solar is top 2 Zerg player in Korea. Creator is top 3 Protoss in Korea. I would say just under Classic and Hero, and above Nightmare. And the loser of this series goes up against Maru. I'm concerned, Papi. I'm concerned for everyone involved. I actually I don't recall. I didn't go over the groups myself, but would this have been the group of death? I guess Scarlet would have been the underdog coming into this, but all the other players are top tier. Crazy, Papi, crazy. We'll go over some of the other groups later on. But for now, we do have Creator just forcing the unnatural. Natural going to be scouting across the map, confirming the hatch gas pool. So standard opener here out of Solar. Likewise, a standard opener out of Creator as well, going for his gate expand. Nothing too out of the norm. As we settle into this, something that I was mentioning earlier is that, again, Creator, his bread and butter in the previous map pool, like one of his favorite maps was Altitude. He would love to go on large maps like Altitude, Ancient Cistern as well, so that Creator could have a lot of breathing room and get into this ground heavy composition. He would end up delaying his Twilight Council. He'd go for a faster Robo and Forge for +1 and Immortal production, and then use the Twilight Council to prioritize Archon. So he'd go Immortal, Archon, Charge Ult as well, and go for this death ball of an army. He wasn't really one to dabble too much into Blink Stalkers and Colossus. That's at least how he would play out in a longer macro game. But again, new patch, new maps as well. I think the new maps are maybe the most impactful thing here for Creator. And I wonder, like, if he feels comfortable playing that style, or if he is going to be adventuring into new territory. As for now, it is going to be a Stargate opener. Again, standard so far. It is what we expect to be seeing out of Creator. It's the follow-up that I'm really curious about the timing of the Twilight Council, about whether he goes for Blink or Charge, and how tech-heavy Creator is going to be. As Solar takes his third base. Again, a map like Alkione, you can take 4 bases quite easily, especially we have seen a lot of players actually prefer this 4th base on the right-hand side, where you expand in a linear fashion, especially because when you expand and take the space location, it's very difficult to punish, very difficult to get on this side of the map and actually threaten the 4th base of the defending player. That is, of course, if Creator did want to go for a more defensive playstyle. As the Adepts are still just sharking around, just maintaining control of this area between the natural and the main, making sure that no drones can get through, and looking to get some economic damage as well. Again, 2 Adepts do one-shot workers, but we do not commit to the shade, as Solar's just focusing on saturating his bases, building up his link count. And now that link speed has completed, Solar can vie for map control and shut down these Adepts and force them back home. Again, really good movement out of Creator. He was fully aware of the link speed timing, so he's able to get home in time and save his Adepts. Meanwhile, interesting, it is not an Oracle first. The Adepts almost gets rounded, but they shade onto the other side. So again, really good play here out of Creator. Really solid stuff. It's going to be a Void Ray here. Sorry, Oracle first into the Void Ray as the Oracle gets across the map. 3 drones, 4 drones go down. No Spore in position. Solar caught off guard here, but really interesting to see not a second Oracle, but the Void Ray instead. The Void Ray is going to shut down this Overlord, and we'll see what direction Creator goes in from here, as he has additional Oracles on the way. And 4 drones is a good start. He did take a bit of hull damage, but the Oracle does survive. And we do see Solar just pulling back his Overlords. He does have 1 Overlord out on the map. So far it is hidden. It's going to be on Creator to hunt it down, to find it. Meanwhile, there's our follow-up. It is going to be a Twilight Council into the Forge. Twilight Council is not delayed. We do not have the prioritization of the Robo, so this is looking like something more standard. +1 and Blink or Charge on the table here for Creator. Ooh, as Creator is going to be taking the linear third base here instead. He's not going to take the triangular third. He's not setting up to expand over on the right-hand side. He's expanding over towards the left, which of course could gain access to this other base with the Rich Resting Gas Geyser, which can have a lot of value to Protoss. As Solar's just been droning. He's just keeping up here with the Oracles. Is going to lose another couple of drones. But for the most part, Solar has been focusing on droning. Now we have a Roach Warren at the 5-minute mark. Very standard timing with the Roach Warren. Likewise, Lair on the way as well, alongside the Roach Warren. Oof. As Solar is now vying for map control, moving out with his Lings, looking to deny the third base if possible, or even threaten the natural. But the Adepts are in position, the shield battery as well. With the Oracle, the Lings, they do nothing here. And this is what I expected. No blink, charge into a Templar Archives, into a Robo, charge lot Archon. So again, that death ball of an army is upon us. No, Hero and Classic, they're known for their Blink Stalker control. Creator, less so. Up! So we have some stasis traps being thrown down, and will not catch anything. Meanwhile, the Lings, the wall is not a wall, they get in! They get a kill on the sentry, and they flood into the main base. They get a full scout of the main, confirming the Twilight Council, the Forge, and they can even get eyes on the Templar Archives as well. And we do get a full scout. The Lings will get cleaned up, but they got 3 workers, so well worth it here. Just wreaking havoc, just forcing Creator out of position. Third base is looking exposed, but Solar isn't quite able to get too much else, as he does pull back. And again, Solar, he's focusing on a Roach Ling composition. +1 melee is on the way. Again, +2 melee isn't the power spike as it once was, because +2 melee Banelings do not one-shot workers anymore. But still a very solid army composition here. So Roach Ling Bane from Solar. Meanwhile, oh my god, Creator, he's throwing down everything. We have a Bay on the way and a second Stargate. And Phoenixes. Okay. Interesting choice here from Creator. He's taking his 4th base at the same time. He is moving out with his army. Again, this is a really awkward position to engage for the Zerg player, just because it is very narrow. Lings cannot really get good surrounds or good surface area. But Creator does back off, and Creator is out of position. Lings do flood on forward. They get eyes on the 4th base. I mentioned earlier that this 4th base is really lucrative for a Protoss player because of that Rich Resting Gas Geyser. So it's all kind of falling together as to why Creator expanded in this area, or in this direction. And from here, disruptors are being produced. The Phoenixes are banking up back at home as well. Meanwhile, Solar does end up expanding here towards the right-hand side, mining through those mineral patches, getting his 4th, and now working on his 5th base as the gold. Solar, his economy has been untouched for quite some time. He lost a couple of drones earlier to the Oracles, but Solar is now up to 80 workers. He can now focus on his army production. Again, Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager. Spire is on the way behind this in case you do have a Skytoss transition. Hive in production as well. Stasis traps are being thrown down. Oh, but good baits here from Solar. You can see here Creator just taking a very defensive position. Cannons, shield batteries on the way. Stasis traps. Creator, he's just turtling up, building up his forces. Again, this base here on the left-hand side is very exposed. It's going to be the weak point here to these bases, but we'll see if Solar can actually threaten it. As the goal here from Creator is to just buy time and keep his opponent at bay. The Phoenixes have revealed themselves, and Solar's maxed. Solar is maxed out, and Creator, can he deal with this? Up! Nova goes off, connects with Lings. One disruptor gets caught out, a second one as well. Creator needs to bring everything together. The disruptor does fall. And Solar, he doesn't quite commit, is going to back off. Creator, oh my god, expanding on Solar's half of the map. I mean, that's one way to protect this base. And there's another Rich Resting Gas guy. Oh my god. I kind of like it. But Solar, he's rotating around towards the left-hand side. The disruptors are out of position, and there just isn't much here for Creator. His army is elsewhere. Banelings, they roll into the mineral lines, going for the probes. Disruptors are being caught. Oh god, no! Not being caught out. As Soul's going to be distracted. Zealots are across the map. Getting into the natural base, getting into the third. But we have reinforcements and not too many workers are going down. Solar, he should clean this up. But what's important is that Creator, he keeps his workers alive. These workers, they were close to just being detonated by those banelings. But the workers survive, and Creator, he gets away with this wild 6th base. Or 5th base even. A very bold Nexus to take. I don't think he can hold on to it, but we'll see if he can. As Solar hasn't seen it. Solar hasn't seen it. He doesn't know. We have a fleet peak and Sky Toss is on the way. But I don't know. I feel like because of the expansion pattern here of Creator, he feels really spread thin. I don't know if he can turtle up and defend and survive long enough to get into carriers. Like, typically to get into Sky Toss, you do need to be able to fortify yourself and protect your bases, and we'll see if Creator can pull it off. We shall see. As so far, this Prism is buying a lot of time. This War Prism has done so much for Creator. It forced Solar to turn back around earlier. Once again, it forces him to turn back around again. Up. Ooh. As the Prism does finally go down. Solar still has not spotted this space. Cannons and shield batteries are on the way. Solar, he doesn't know. Baneling run by does not make it in. And Solar, he's been maxed for a long time. He's building up a bank as well. He is transitioning into Corruptors. He's aware of the Sky Toss. But I feel like he needed to accomplish more with this ground army. He still can. He can, but he has the potential for it, but can he pull it off? As he catches a couple of stray Archons, Creator, I think, just trying to refine his army even further. The Corruptors get caught out. And it feels like Solar, he's been wanting to bust into a base for so long, but he's just been unable to make use of this army. It feels like this has been almost dead supply, but now we're going for it. Up. Novas go off. Decent connections, but we get every single disruptor. 2 more are coming in. Yeah, and this base will not get up and running. Should not get up and running. Oh, God. As Ravager's going to be going down. Big connections here, and Solar does back off. No, mate, Creator, he's getting away with murder here. This should not be happening. Ay. And Creator, he is slowly building up his Sky Toss army. 4 carriers, soon to be 8. We're making 4 carriers at a time. Ay. And Solar's being left behind a little bit here. We have Broodlords being morphed in. How many Corruptors do we have? We have 2 Corruptors. So something that's important is that we have seen we did see the fleet beacon, but we haven't seen these carriers. Solar, he's not aware that Sky Toss is building up, I don't think. Broodlords, they have their place, but I'm concerned that he won't have enough anti-air. We'll see. We'll see if he's able to muster up his army in time. Solar going to be expanding here towards the bottom right. Again, he still has a solid economy. He's had one for a long time. So we're catching some of these zealots. Breaking on through. The carriers finally do reveal themselves. How many carriers do we have? We have 8 carriers and a mothership. Storm is on the way to support. Archons as well. Again, it feels like Creator has been spread thin for so long, but somehow he's been able to defend. Or somehow he's been able to just keep Solar's attention elsewhere. And now another base is being taken. It feels... Look, I know that I'm the one chained up today, but it feels like Solar's been chained up. It feels like he's been desperately trying to make something happen and just hasn't been able to. He's been edging all game, Papi. And Creator, he's just maxing out here on that Sky Toss army, getting into the late game. We do have 11 Corruptors, a decent amount, not as much as we need, but we're working on it. Upgrades are on the way. We have a couple of spellcasters. We have 1 Infestor and 1 Viper. Not ideal. Could definitely do with some more. I do think that Solar needs to get rid of some of this Ling Bane and some of these roaches. I do think a lot of his supply is tied up on a ground-based army, and a ground army that just isn't really doing much. Oh boy, and here we go. Here comes Creator. Pushing into a Spore Forest. Again, the Viper is getting ready for a yoink, but we do have a feedback. Big storms as well. We won't see any spells from the Viper at least. Likewise, remember, only one Infestor in the mix, only one Fungal available. Creator methodically pushing through. The Ling Bane being sent across the map. To deal with that run by to push in towards this base. But I don't know if Creator's main army can be stopped. I'll be honest, the carries are getting out of control. Big storms on the Corruptors and on the Broodlords. Oof, and Solar is losing everything. The Corruptors are falling, the Broodlords as well. And this carrier army is not being stopped. Not at all. Meanwhile, the Ling Bane gets across the map, but GG gets called, and Creator takes game number 1. Ooh. GG. GG, well played. Solar, he was looking strong at the start of this game. I would say for the first half of this game, Solar, he was deflecting all these attacks. He was getting his gold base, you know, getting him to 5 base saturation, maxing out on Ling Bane Roach Ravager. And something about Ling Bane Roach Ravager is that it does have an expiration date. You know, there is a bit of a time limit on it. It's a very mid-game oriented army, and you could see there. I don't know if it was as apparent to you guys watching, but it desperately felt like Solar. He wanted to attack. He wanted to bust into a base so badly and take down the 3rd or the 4th or anything. But whenever he did move out, there was like a Zealot run by. There was the War Prism harassing, and it felt like Solar was just a little bit indecisive at times. And Creator was able to sneak out with that 5th base. He was able to sneak out with the base on the left-hand side. It was unscattered from Solar. He wasn't able to punish it. He was trying to punish it, but desperately couldn't. Somehow, it almost felt illegal what Creator was doing. He was defending with like 3 disruptors. Like, that base was so exposed, but he was somehow able to defend with 3 disruptors. The Novas were good enough, and Solar just couldn't do anything with his ground army. He was just stuck with it. It was just dead supply, essentially. And by the time the Skytoss came out, again, there was just so much supply tied up in roaches and lings and banelings, and Solar, he just got rolled over. GG, well played. And I mean, a shout out to Creator, because it felt like he was taking so many risks. Creator, it was crazy. He was playing like such a risky style, but it paid off. Somehow it paid off. He believed in himself. He had the confidence to do it, and he pulled it off. And GG, well played. Creator does take game number 1. And now we find ourselves in game 2. See, this is from yesterday. Yes, this was played out 2 days ago. These matches, and we are covering them ourselves. Again, I was fortunate enough to avoid spoilers. I think I was streaming at the time. Oh. But yeah, here to experience this all together, Bobby. Oh. As we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, currently leading the series 1-0, representing Club NV. It is Creator. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Zerg player, representing Onside Gaming, down in this series, but not out. It is a best of 3, of course. It is Solar. Okay, it felt like Solar the entire game last game. He wanted to like spread his wings and fly, but he was just being contained. He was chained up, couldn't break free, couldn't get the damage that he was looking for. And Creator, he snowballed out of control. But what I will say, again, bringing it all back, I do think that Solar had a really solid early to mid game. I do think that the first half of the game, Solar was in control, and it was on him to dictate the pace and get damage done. He failed to do so, but I do think he had a really good position nonetheless, and we'll see if Solar can replicate that, and we'll see if Solar can capitalize on that a little bit better here in the second game. Meanwhile, Creator was playing very Creator. I don't know if you noticed, but again, he has a very defensive playstyle in PvZ, as we saw in the previous game. Very tech heavy as well. You know, he had built up a charged out Archon composition, but he never attacked. He never attacked with his Archons. He only ever moved out with Zealot run-bys. You know, he was just staying back at home, building up his cannons, his shield batteries, getting into disruptors, and eventually into Skytoss. That is typically how he approaches this matchup. He can move out with, instead of a Skytoss army, with the death ball of a ground army as well, don't get me wrong, but again, he usually defends and he builds up towards that. He's not an overly aggressive player like Hero or like Classic. That's also maybe something that Solar just was caught off by. Maybe he was caught off guard by the fact that I'm sure maybe Solar was expecting a push. I'm sure he was like waiting for Creator to move out, to push on to creep with his disruptors, with his Archons, with his Immortals, and Creator never did, right? Creator, he just stayed at home, and Solar was just, again, had map control, was maneuvering around, but wasn't able to accomplish anything with his army. So yeah, maybe again he just wasn't accustomed to what Creator brought to the table. Oh, as we have a very interesting opener here, as Creator is going for a Robo opener instead. Interesting. So this could lead into a 2-base all-in. With a fast Robo, we can get into fast Immortal production. If we throw down 2 more gateways, this should be for a Warp Prism to get across the map and be very aggressive here with a vanilla gateway army. This can also lead into fast Colossus or fast Disruptors. This can lead into a Disruptor drop opener with a Robotics Bay and Disruptors. Disruptor drops are really risky and you don't get to see them too often, so I'm ready for it. I'm feeling a Robotics Bay, but we'll see. We'll see what Creator does go for, and we can talk about the Disruptor drop if that's what we end up as. There we go. As the Bay is thrown down, and this does look like a Disruptor drop. If we were casting a player like Nina or Estrella, I would say that this may be a Colossus drop. We have seen them whip that out before against Zerg, but this should be for Disruptors. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. The pro is that, of course, high risk, high reward. These Disruptors, they can annihilate a mineral line, roaches, lings, whatever they touch, they can destroy. But you also leave yourself very vulnerable. It means that coming into the mid game, your tech is delayed, you don't have blink, you don't have charge, you don't have much to support your army. You're relying so much on these purification overs to get damage done. And yeah, you do leave yourself vulnerable when you do so. Very common follow-ups are things like Spire play, getting into Mutas. Because there's no Phoenixes and there's no Blink Stalkers, Mutas can do very well shutting down a Protoss army and gaining control. There it is, War Prism speed is on the way. The War Prism has revealed itself, so he wants to try to make it look like Glaive Adepts. That's the goal here. Creator, he's faking out Glaive Adepts. Solar has not scouted the tech, he has not scouted what is going on, and Solar is reacting like it is Glaive Adepts. We have a Roach Horn on the way, Lings, we have a Spore in each base, so Solar, he even thinks it may be DTs, so he's getting ready for Dark Templar. The Overlord dips in, and it looks like he will scout the Robo and the Disruptor, as well as the Robotics Bay. So now Solar knows what's going on. Immediately, he cancels all the spores. We had 3 spores on the way. They've all been canceled. Solar now is aware of what's happening, but he has a low drone count. Solar, he made a lot of Lings getting ready for Adepts, and this is hurting him in the end. These are units that could have otherwise been drones. Now the Lings have to get some damage done. They do come across a couple of Adepts, but they cannot commit. They're looking to at least delay this 3rd base as a Colossus is in production. Disruptors are moving out across the map. Nervous go off, and we don't get any workers, but we do get a Queen. Not a bad pickoff. Again, you know, we haven't lost any hull damage on the Prism, we haven't lost any hull damage on the Disruptors, so far an efficient trade, and we're looking for even more damage. Back at home, I love that we're working on Colossi because we have a way to expand. We have a way to deal with these Lings and to safely take a 3rd base. While Solar is droning. And the Lings are looking for a way in, but so far the SimCity is too good, the positioning is too good, and the 3rd base is now on the way. It is a delayed 3rd for Creator, but it's on the way nonetheless. And again, Solar is free to just drone on up. Another Nova goes off. Oh, doesn't quite get the Queen. Gets a drone. But again, this is just keeping Solar busy, forcing lost mining time, keeping his attention back at home. And Solar has been able to fully saturate on 3 bases. He's up to 62 workers. 66 is kind of the max that we are going to be looking at. 4 bases are being taken, and Solar is looking to amass a Ling Roach Ravager army. Up! No! Nova goes off. 5 drones go down. Late reaction or no reaction out of Solar. Not a good start, and here comes the main army as well from Creator. He has a War Prism to reinforce. Now, because the center of the map here is so very choke heavy, like there are so many narrow choke points here, this army is under no threat of being surrounded. Well, we are backing off though. We do have sentries and force fields. Up! Blings, they look for a surround! And they will catch those sentries. Force fields are late. A good catch here from Solar. And he's going straight for the Colossus. The War Prism does come back. Nova goes off as well, and it will connect with 1 Ravager. The Colossus taking a lot of hits, and the Colossus is saved. Oh my god. Solar, he dove so hard on that. Nova goes off, Ravagers go down, and Creator holds just barely. This Colossus should be dead. The overcharge is popped, keeps it alive. Now we have Blink on the way, and it took a while, but now Creator actually has or will have a well-rounded army with +1 with Blink, with the Gateway Explosion. Creator can push out. And he's still not done with these Purification Novas. He's still not done. Solar likewise saturating his 4th base, still focusing on a Ling Roach Ravager base composition. Hatchery has been spotted. And Creator has to be very careful with his army movement. Doesn't want to get caught off guard. As Novas go off once again. Oh, only getting 1 drone. Up! Oh, getting 3 in total. Prism taking some hull damage, but does manage to escape. And will recall back home. Speaking of being back home, Creator, he's getting a 4th up and running. He's refining his army even further here with +2, with charge. We have a Dark Shrine on the way for Archons and DTs. Or those Dark Templar. And we do have a couple of spores. We do have some spores in position, not in every base, but in some of these key locations. So Solar at least has some detection. As he's moving out with only a single disruptor this time. Oh, catching a couple of transferring workers. Solar's workers catching some strays, Bobby, catching him some strays. But again, Solar is looking to max out on Lingbane Roach Ravager. He's basically there at this point. And just like the previous game, he needs to trade. This is an army designed to trade, not to hold on to. He's going to be looking to punish one of these bases, push into the 4th, the 3rd, or even towards the natural. Maybe even distract the army and go for a Baneling run-by. Solar is at 200 supply. Oh. Nova goes up! Up! Oof. Does catch a couple of roaches, mainly Lings. But the army hasn't spotted Creator moving in position. Behind this, Hive is on the way, Aspire as well. Solar is taking up, and he's droned up to 82. He's up to 80 worker saturation. Once again, another Nova goes up. Oh my god, a juicy connection on those roaches. At the same time, Baneling Runway does come in. Not the best saturation here, so not too many workers to kill. But he does get the mineral line. 7 probes go down. At the same time, Lings, they flood into the main base, but we have DTs to defend. Creator, he is minimizing his losses. He cleans up the Ling run-by, deals with the Baneling run-by, and now he can go for a counterattack. Now Creator has momentum, and Solar has to back off. And Solar just rebuilding those Banelings. Oh. Rebuilding those Banelings. Ling Bane getting ready for this as well. There's only 1 Colossus. We are relying a lot on these disruptors. Oh, we're setting up for a surround. Looking to come in from behind. Solar, can he pull this off? There are a lot of Archons available. They can circle a lot of Banelings. Nova goes off, takes down 2 of those Ravagers so far. A good start here for Creator, but we're committing to the engage. We're committing to the surround. The Banelings roll in, decent connections with those disruptors. But the Stalkers go down. The Stalkers may fall, but what about the Archons? The Archons survive. They clean up the rest of the army. The Colossus makes it out from the start of the game. The Colossus should have been the first thing that died, but it does survive. And Creator, he breaks through. He breaks through into the bases. The surround was not good enough. The Archons too tanky. Ooh, 7 workers go down. And Creator, he's starting to snowball out of control. This hatchery will fall. Solar, he's amassing another army. He can afford to lose a base. He can take his time. As the drones are getting the hell out of there. But we have mainly a Ling Bane composition, and against Archons, this is not ideal. Again, Archons, they tank so many Banelings. But Solar is given some time here to rebuild. Likewise, Creator also just warping in more Archons. More DTs. He knows what he needs. At the same time, a Baneling Rabbi is going to be sneaking out across the map. Up! No reaction. A late reaction out of Creator. He will lose half his mineral line. Good start. Meanwhile, Creator, he is ready to receive. Jesus, the concave is real. More DTs. More Archons. Another Baneling Rabbi rolls on in. This time there is no cannon, and this time Creator, he once again pulls away. But we'll lose even more workers. Oh no! They come back! They come back too soon. 13 workers go down. But what about the main? Oh my, there's so many. How many Archons do we have? 11! 11 Archons. Soon to be 12. One Archon does get caught out. Oh, and Solar, he's pushing in. Again, he does have to be careful. Again, another Ling counterattack taking down this third base. But Creator, he knows what matters most, and that is going to be this main fight. And here we go. He's pulling the trigger. He's pushing on forward. No Banelings. The Banelings they were spent earlier, going for that harass. Going for the run-bys. Now Creator can push on forward at the same time as Zealot run-by does hit the top left-hand base. Another hatchery goes down. Solar has maxed out. He is at 200 supply. But again, no Banelings, not the most efficient army. Biles are dodged. And Solar is spending a lot here to harass across the map. But again, clearly at this point, Creator, he doesn't care about these bases. Doesn't care about his economy. He cares about the main fight. He's pushing on forward here. The Banelings get caught out. And these Banelings are still not done morphing in. They're gonna get denied. Creator pushing on through. Trying to get us around. But it looks like the Colossus does not go down. The juggling, Papi. We save the Colossus once again. And the Roach Ravager army kiting well against these Archons, but you can see that we are losing just far too much. The Roaches and Ravagers, they just melt against the might of these Archons. Creator pushing on through, stutter stepping forward, busting into the natural, working towards the main. Solar comes back home with Lings of all things, and what can these Lings do against this army? GG gets called. Creator takes the series 2-0, advancing on to the winners match. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. The upsets are real, and I would call this an upset here as Creator takes down Solar. Solar, one of the best Zerg players, top 2 Zergs in Korea, and again, even in game 1, Solar was looking strong, he was looking good. But here in game number 2, once again, we had a situation where Solar, he maxed out. It was like, what, 6-7 minutes ago where Solar had maxed out a Lingbane Roach Ravager, and once again we were in the same situation where he needed to trade with this army. He needed to trade with the army of his opponent, or you know, try to cripple the economy, but he just barely couldn't. The defensive position of Creator was just a little bit too good. If you remember, that was the moment when Solar, he tried to go for like a Ling run by into the main. He had Banelings towards the north, and after he lost his Ling Bane, that triggered a big counterattack from his opponent. Solar just did not trade well enough with his army. Creator just so cost efficient, and I'm sure a lot of this is also because of Creator's experience with playing this playstyle. we kind of brought this up at the start, and it's important to reiterate that Creator, he's not a very aggressive player. He is the kind of player, he's like the Korean Showtime in a way. I do often correlate Creator with Showtime just because they both have, they don't have the same like compositions or stuff, but they have the same outlook on PvZ where they just absorb all these attacks. They just defend, they absorb, and then they counterattack. They wait for the Zerg player to overextend, and in that moment, that is when they strike, and that's what we saw here in game 2 as well from Creator, just taking a pretty defensive position before eventually being active on the map. And yeah, Solar just really struggling against that. Maybe been playing too much against Hero. GG, well played. Creator does advance on. Solar gets knocked down to the elimination match. Oh boy. The group is slowly unfolding, and we can have a quick look at the group itself as we switch our scenes over. And here it is. Again, not the results that I was expecting. Scarlet was able to take down Maru 2-0 earlier, and then here we have Creator taking down Solar 2-0 as well. And now we have our next matchups in the winners match. Scarlet versus Creator. The winner advances on to the next round. The loser will be going down to the decider match, waiting for the winner of the elimination match, and that is Maru versus Solar. And that is insane for Maru versus Solar to be, and I thought that was going to be the winners match. I thought for sure coming into this, they are the favorite players to make it through out of this group, but they have to knock each other out. Maru and Solar, one will be eliminated from GSL this early on in the round of 16. In the first round of GSL, we lose either the best Terran in Korea or the second best Zerg, or top 2 Zerg in Korea. Crazy. Crazy, Papi, crazy. Ay. Not how I thought this group was gonna go, but regardless, we are gonna be diving into this after the break. We've reached the halfway mark. The halfway mark here. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have the winners match between Scarlet and Creator. See you soon. Take this moment to hydrate your Hydra, stretch your roaches, massage your Marines, tuck in your Tempest. And when we return, we'll have that ZvP. See you soon. See you soon.